हरिः ओम् नमः सर्वेभ्यः। अद्य 20-द्विसहस्रतमवर्षस्य जून् मासस्य 6 दिनाङ्के गीताप्रवेशस्य प्रथमभागस्य 44तमकक्षार्थं सर्वेभ्यः स्वागतम्. Okay, so what we have seen so far is karta, karma, karanam, sampradanam, apadanam, adhikaranam evam षट् कारकानि सन्ति. करणकारकस्य तृतीया विभक्तिः, सम्प्रदानकारकस्य चतुर्थी विभक्तिः, अपादानकारकस्य पञ्चमी विभक्तिः, अधिकरणकारकस्य सप्तमी विभक्तिः भवति इति ज्ञातवन्तः. But there are two other karakams which we have to discuss, like kartrikarakam and karmakarakam. So that actually it has little more details. It's not that simpler to understand like these four. So that's why this is generally kept in the last two karakams. Let's try to understand those as well now. So far to understand the karanam or sampradanam or apadanam or adhikaranam, with the regular examples, with simple explanation, we are able to follow it up and we are able to understand. But to understand the kartrikarakam and the karmakarakam, we need to know a little bit more about the internals of the kriya. Okay, so but when we say kriya, the moment when we say kriya, all we get in our mind is the kriya padam, right? Gacchati, patati, khadati, likhati, like that. So it is very important to understand what is the meaning of that kriya padam. Of course, as a beginner we know gacchati means to go. That is a prathama purusha ekavachana form, and gacchasi is a prathama purusha madhyama purusha ekavachana form. So we know the meaning, but that's a very simplest meaning which we can give for the user of the language. But when it goes little deeper, what actually that gacchati says to what actually gacchati means. So that's what it is very important to understand to proceed with kartrikarakam and karmakarakam. So let's start with that. So let's take the kriyapadam gacchati. So before we understand the gacchati as a samuha, like gacchati means purusha gacchati, devaha gacchati. So like that we atithi gacchati, like that gacchati we know the meaning, balakaha gacchati. But what it actually means, if you try to split the gacchati into the individual parts of the gacchati, individual parts, like there are three parts which you can see with the gacchati. One, definitely the dhatu, gum is the dhatu, and we get gum plus some pratyaya called ti is a pratyaya, it's called a ting pratyaya. So these two actually joins and gives us the word called gacchati. Okay, but to make the form more, to produce the form exactly the same, we use some other pratyaya also called vikarana pratyaya, which actually sits in the between. So first part is the dhatu, and second is some vikarana pratyaya, and third is akhyata pratyaya. Akhyata pratyaya is nothing but the ting pratyaya. So the combination of these three actually produces the gacchati, the word. Okay, the dhatu plus akhyata pratyaya is the actual one, and when particular akhyata pratyaya are in between the vikarana pratyaya comes. The vikarana pratyaya comes based on the dhatu gana. So there are 10 ghanas in the dhatu and the dhatu patha, like bhuadi, adadi, divadi, johatyadi, and like that. So for each gana there is a separate vikarana pratyaya. Okay, this is just to produce the form in the way we want it. That's it. It doesn't carry any meaning of its own. So vikarana pratyaya is just to make some vikara on the form, nothing else. The actual two important parts are like dhatu and akhyata pratyaya. Akhyata pratyaya is nothing but the ting pratyaya. Okay, so now we will try to understand the meaning of the ting pratyaya and as well as the dhatu. Okay, ting pratyaya which actually expresses three meanings. I mean, which expresses three things. So, for example, let's take gacha as a base word, and we can keep changing the ti with different things like example, gachati, gachataha, gachanti, gachasi, gachataha, gachata, gachami, gachavaha, gachamaha. So now in each of these, the last suffix is nothing but the ting pratyaya, right? That's the last suffix is the akyata pratyaya. So what it actually expresses, for the gachati, it gives the for out of those nine, any one if you take, it actually gives you the purusha and vachanam. And if you go across the lakaras, it gives a different, for example, agachat or gachatu and gamishyati. So there are different, the suffixes actually gachatu or agachat and gachati. So there are three. But actually if you see the meaning will vary based on the kala, right? So that means there are three things a suffix can express. One is the purusha and the vachana and the kala. The kala is nothing but the lakara. Okay, so let's go in little deeper, and those three we'll try to understand better. The first is the sankhya, the vachanam. It's ekavachanam or divivachanam or bahuvachanam. So gachativa, gachatahava, gachantiva. So based on that we can identify how many numbers it is trying to indicate. And the second we get is the kala, like which lakara or which kala or which bhava. So out of 10 lakaras, only 6 are a kind of which expresses the kala, and remaining 4 are for expressing the bhava. Like lot lakara is to express the bhava, and lat lakara is to express the kala. So when you use any gachati, this kind of ti pratyaya which belongs to lat lakara, which actually expresses the vartamana kala. So when you say gachati, the sankhya is ekatvam and kalaha is vartamana kalaha. And there is another third thing is which expresses either karta or karma or just the bhava. Okay, so when it comes to the kartari prayoga, it actually tells about the karta. For example, let me take a gachami. If we say without even karta, actually gachami actually expresses who is that karta. It means it is aham is the karta. It expresses the karta. And karma, in case of karmani prayoga, it actually expresses the karma, not the karta. So that's why if we see in the kartari prayoga, based on the kartrupadam, the number, the vachanam or the purusha vachanam will vary, and in the karmani prayoga the purusha vachanam will vary based on the karma padam. Udaharanartham balakaha asti, balakaha santi, pataha patyate, pataha patyante. Okay, and bhava, in the bhave prayoga, it just expresses the bhava. So in that case, we will not have the sankhya. Sankhya will always be ekatvam is the sankhya, and bhava just expresses the bhava. Like hasyate is one example. Hasyate just laughing, but it doesn't have any karma. It just expresses the bhava of asanam. So these are the three general meanings which we get from the gachati, only the last suffix ti. So any questions here so far? Okay, now these three we already know it, but we are just trying to recap it here. But if you see the actual portion here is, what's the meaning of dhatu? So when you say gam is a dhatu, what it actually means? So it means just a gamana kriya. Okay, gamana kriya is okay, but what does it mean actually? What does it mean? What's the meaning of gamana kriya? Right? So in that case, any dhatu, for example, if you want to perform the gamana kriya, you will be doing certain activities to achieve that, or to complete that gamana kriya. Example, maybe walking in the sense just if you go by walk, maybe you actually do the action of putting one legs forward, right? You keep moving the legs forward and waving the hands, and you look at the front, and these are the individual sub actions which you do to achieve the gamana kriya. Okay, so that means there are certain activities which you perform to achieve that gamana kriya. So actually when you say gam dhatu, it actually expresses those activities. Okay, those activities are nothing but the vyaparaha. The vyapara is to achieve that gamana kriya. What all activities which you do, it may be a physical activity or it may be a mental activities or it may be anything. What all things which you do to achieve that kriya. So you may be thinking that gamana kriya means you may be seeing a road where the diversion happens. You may have to think a little like whether you have to take left or right. So that's a kind of a sub action which you take in the middle of gamana kriya. So that's also kind of a one kind of a vyapara. So that means to complete the gamana kriya, it's not a single kriya. It has a set of activities to perform to complete that gamana kriya. So you maybe keep moving the legs and keep waving the hands and look in front of the road, and if you see some boards, read out and take diversions. So all these things which you will be doing as a sub actions to achieve that gamana kriya. So all of these, what we call it as vyaparaha. Okay, and when you say lekhanam, it's again very simple. You might be thinking mentally that what you want to express with the written form. That's again one activity, and again you will start thinking in terms of the words, and that words you will actually convert them to the aksharas, and that akshara you will actually instruct your hand to write, and hand will write those letters. So these are individual things which actually happens. So all of these actually called as vyapara. Okay, so when we say dhatu, the meaning of the dhatu is nothing but the vyapara. Okay, but does it express only the vyapara? No. Along with that, it also expresses another thing called phalam. So phalam means what you achieve after doing that particular kriya. After you complete that kriya, what will you achieve? Right? Example, but this phalam is, for example, I'm doing some kind of a sacrifice, a yajna or tapas. The phalam is maybe the getting the moksha. That's actually intention we try to. That's the intention. That's the phalam we expect out of that sacrifice activity. But that's not the phalam here. It means actually. So, for example, I write an exam, but here the phalam of the exam is not getting passed or getting some better grade in the exam results. The phalam is something else here. So the whatever phalam which we think like getting pass and getting grade and maybe doing the yaga for the reaching the swarga and moksha, and all these are kind of a laukika phalam. Okay, but shastriya nochet alaukika phalam iti vadamas chet. Example, gacchati, if you take the words of phalam of gacchati, if you see in that angle, the phalam of the gacchati is actually described as Uttaradesha Sanyogaha Tasya Phalam iti uchyate. So meaning just gaining or getting the association with the other area or other part or other place. So Uttaradesha Sanyogaha eva gam dhatoho phalam vartate. Astu tatheva vyaparaha ityukte Uttaradesha Sanyoganukula vyaparaha. So for achieving the Uttaradesha Sanyoga, what all things I perform, that is called as vyapara. So it's not that aham vidyalayam gacchami means the phalam is not to learn to gain the jnana. Okay, here, but the phalam is to reach the vidyalayam. So here Uttaradesha Sanyogaha, here Uttaradesha is a vidyalaya. Tasya Sanyogam praptum ichchami. Tasya saha Sanyogaha eva atra phalam bhavati. Astu tasya phalartham, tasya prapanartham, tasya vidyalaya sanyogartham yet kamapi aham karomi tat sarvam api vyaparaha iti uchyate. So are you able to distinguish these between these two? Example, pachati if you take. So pach is the dhatu. The vyapara is maybe getting the vessels and putting on the stove and burning the stove and lighting up the stove and pouring water, all these things whatever you do till you produce the final paka. So that complete activity is called as vyapara, and phalam is um, the final paka is the phalam. The phalam is not actually uh, in a regular laukika, the phalam of pachati is to um, do the nivarana of the bubuksha, but that's a laukika phalam. But when you say here phalam is the cooking of that raw material is the phalam. So when you say in the technical terms, the likhati, lik is the dhatuhu, phalam kim bhavati, viklitihi phalam bhavati. Vikliti means the mridutvam of the tandula is the phalam. So if you are cooking the tandula, once you reach the mridutvam, that actually you reach the phalam. And vyaparaha itukte vikliti anukula vyaparaha. For achieving the vikliti, what all vyapara you do, that is actually the vyapara here. Okay, so so when you say any dhatu like that, so you get the vyapara and phalam. So these two are the meanings of the particular dhatu. So any questions here?
I have a question, Mahoday. Why do we go for this kind of an analysis? What is the reason for that we are going through this analysis?
Yeah, that's what we are trying to understand the kartru karakam and karma karakam. That's why you are doing this.
So based on the vyaparaha, like for the dhatu vyaparaha or phalam, things will change. The karta will change. Is that what you are trying to say?
Yes. Yeah, correct.
Okay.
That we'll cover in the next session. We'll see how it is actually related.
Okay. Dhanyavad.
I was also having the same question. Why you have to divide it into these two parts, phalam and vyaparaha, and then try to understand the action. Okay. Now I got it.
Okay, maybe I'll just explain next 2 minutes. We'll cover that part after this indeed.
Yes, Mr. Mohammed.
Namaste, Mohoday. See, when you take this Pach Dhatu, you have Vyapara and Phalam. And in Vyapara, we talked about sub-activities, which become the complete activity of the Pach Dhatu. Okay.
Yes.
So, when you look at the total number of Dhatus, we talked about some 2000 Dhatus, right? So, are we saying that it's at the highest level when you talk about the Dhatu, and so underneath which you will have all the sub activities? Is that how you have to view the Dhatu? Or you can have a bunch of Dhatus to make a bigger Dhatu out of it?
No. Common set of common dhatus are kind of a 2000, but internally, even if all sub activities again will be again a dhatu only. For example, I'm going on the way, I'm seeing some board. So there again darshana kriya bhavati tatra.
Darshana, seeing is a dhatu again.
Seeing is again.
Okay.
And again I'm what do you call, I'm just talking to my friend, right, I'm sambhashan karomi.
Okay.
So again sambhashan is another bhashya dhatu, right? So again it's the same dhatus, but for achieving a particular kriya you need help of other dhatus or other kriyas.
Okay, so the sub activities also can be dhatus on its own merit, and it can be a
Depends on what kind of sub activity it is.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, if you see any activity, even the sub activities, again it can be actually divided into again in numerous stages and numerous sub activities again. So it will go, if you start thinking on this aspect, you will literally see infinite number of kriyas which you perform. So when you say I'm going, it actually involves literally infinite number of kriyas in it. Okay, so let's stop there and we will actually start with the next discussion here. So here the vyapara and phalam, these two are the dhatvartha, and so now this is a very critical portion here. So wherever or whichever place the vyapara is present, that is generally called as karta, and wherever the phalam presents, that is called as karma. Example, gachati. So when you say balakaha vidyalayam gachati, so here vyapara is going and reaching some place. For that, whatever you do, that's a vyapara. So who is doing that are the ashraya for the vyapara. What is the ashraya for the vyapara? Balaka is the ashraya for the vyapara, because balaka in him that particular activities are happening to go. So that is wherever the vyapara is happening, that is actually called as kartrikarakam. And wherever the phalam will happen later after we perform this action, whatever phalam happens after some time, but may not be right now present, whatever happens later, so where it presents, that particular object is called as karmakarakam. Example, vidyalayam, the gamanadhatu phalam vartate uttaradesha anukula uttaradesha sanyogaha, meaning you are attaching to the uttaradesha. So here where is that sanyoga present, or where is that association is present? The association is present, will be present after this activity, it will be present with the vidyalaya, right? The phalam actually is present in the vidyalaya. So that's why vidyalaya gets the karma sanya. So that's why we actually say wherever we go, that particular place will be represented in the Dvitiya Bhakti. It's because that place is where we get the dhatu phalam, and that is actually called as karma karakam, and that is actually represented in the Dvitiya Bhakti. So balakaha vidyalayam gacchati. But when you say in the local other languages, we actually use Chaturtya Bhakti, but here we use Dvitiya. This is a technical explanation for that. And that is one thing. And second thing, when you take other dhatu like a pachati, and pachati, if you take vikluti anukula vyaparaha iti vyaparaha vyaparaha matari vartate. So in Amba, the vyapara for making the vikluti on the tandula is present in the mata. So she becomes the kartrupadam. And once she makes the phalam is nothing but the vikluti, the mridutvam is the phalam here. So where does that mridutvam present? It is present in the tandulam. So the tandulam gets the karma sanya. So that is called as karma karakam. Okay, so the mata becomes the kartru karakam, and tandulaha becomes the karma karakam. So this is a very important crucial area, how we identify. Actually, if you see how do we identify the karma karakam, how do you say, where do you get the Dvitiya Bhakti for the beginners? We just say that ask kin question, the answer would be the Dvitiya Vibhakti. That's the simplest thing. But the technical explanation is identify what is the phalam of that particular dhatu, and see where does that phalam present after the kriya, and that particular object or the person will be the karma karakam, and that would be represented in the Dvitiya Bhakti. So any questions here?
Mahodaya, in the sentence balakaha phalam khadati, how does this phalam and vyaparaha, how does it come into the picture there? Khadati is action, so that
okay, khadati, what's the vyapara or what's the phalam you expect there?
The satisfaction of the hangara.
No, that's actually laukika phalam. Actual khadati means is just moving the objects across your throat or neck. That's actually called as khadanam.
That action.
But actually here the khadanam means the vyapara is to move the food particles or food into the food pipe. That's actually called as khadanam. And in a way, if you see the association of the food with the food pipe is kind of the phalam here. You getting it?
Okay, but do we have to go so deep into that to? No, but
Yeah, right.
what is the final outcome of doing all this? Because earlier we were just simply doing without going into all these things, but we were still able to know the karma, the karta and the karma and all that. So by doing this,
Yeah,
it
that-
helps,
See that you are able to do that because you already know one of other languages, right? So when you ask Kim in that other language, what you will get, that you got practice with that language, so you are able to answer that. But when it comes to special dhatus, and when you hear a particular dhatu for the first time, and you never use that dhatu, assume that, or you never use that particular kriya padam, and you want to know whether this particular object will be in which karakam or which vibhakti I have to use, right? So there, that this kind of analysis will help. And this one thing, and second thing is this is the answer for you the first question, why we don't actually take up the karakams in the beginners class. Okay, so now just for your information, so this is not just to use to identify the kartru karakam or the karma karakam. Beyond that, it also helps in understanding whether the dhatu is the sakarmaka dhatu or akarmaka dhatu. So here, how do we identify a sakarmaka dhatu or akarmaka dhatu? It's again, it's not there in your book. I'm just giving us extra information. If vyapara and phalam present in the same object, then it becomes the akarmaka dhatu. If vyapara and phalam are in two different objects, then it becomes the sakarmaka dhatu. Example, balakaha shete, so he sleeps. The vyapara is to actually bring down his mind and calm down and sleep. That's the vyapara. And phalam is getting complete sleep, is kind of a phalam. The sleep is also present in the balaka, and vyapara which he does for achieving that phalam is also present in the balaka. So both present in the same object. So that shete is the akarmaka kriya. And when they present both in different object, example pachati, the vyapara present is at the mata, and phalam vikliti present at the tandala. So it becomes the sakarmaka kriya. So like that, these two actually kind of used in the shastras to define lot of minor things. When you say akarmaka, sakarmaka, we generally ask Kim question. But when we cannot ask Kim question for a lot of things where few dhatus will be sakarmaka, like adivasati and all will become sakarmaka. But those things we can actually sort it out with these kind of analysis. So let's stop here, and if you have any questions, you can clarify them now.
My question is that this kind of an analysis and learning this is for more for Vyakarana purpose. Can we say that this is for Vyakarana purpose, or otherwise every sentence we form, every the thing we do, we have to do this kind of an analysis and then derive the vibhakti? Is that what it's like, this analysis is exactly for vibhakti purposes, I would say, that from here you could derive the vibhakti and which one is a karta, karma and all those things. But
for deriving vibhaktis and for using the vibhaktis and all, you have to go the regular way. That's the fastest approach to solve it.
Correct.
But this route you will be taking in case if you get doubt on which vibhaktis and all to be used, then you can actually take up this route. Okay, but this is the explanation. Okay, for example, you ask, right, what is a karma actually? How do you say, even if you ask a person what is called as object in English? So they give some explanation, but actually what's the technical explanation? But we may not actually get it actually. But this is the actually Shastriya explanation we get from the Vyakarana Shastra. And this kind of analysis generally I have seen, I have seen with the three Shastras. One is the Nyaya Shastra, and Mimamsa Shastra, and Vyakarana Shastra. So these three Shastras, they actually generally go with this kind of analysis.
Okay.
So any other questions? So tomorrow we will cover the remaining sections on the Kartru Karakam and Karma Karakam. And there is a section given on your book, the same topics like whatever I explained, the same thing. Kartru Karakam means where the Vyapara present, and all these things are already explained in your book. Maybe you can read it once and let me know tomorrow on this one if you have any queries. Till karma karakam you can actually read it once, so tomorrow's class will be little easier then. So अद्यतन संक्षेपः कर्मण्येव अधिकारस्ते इति इत्यस्मिन् अष्टादशे पाठे कारकस्य परिचयं वयं प्राप्तवन्तः. तत्र कारकमिति क्रियायाः निर्वर्तनाय तथा क्रियायाः करणाय क्रियायाः सिद्ध्यर्थं तत्र कारकानाम् अपेक्षा भवति. अत्र कारकानि विना अत्र क्रियायाः सिद्धिः न भवति इति वयं ज्ञातवन्तः. तथा कारकानि षड् कारकानि सन्ति. कर्तृकारकं, कर्मकारकं, करणकारकं, सम्प्रदानकारकम्, अपादानकारकम्, अधिकरणकारकम् इत्येवं चतुर्णां कारकानाम् अध्ययनं वयं कृतवन्तः. अत्र द्वयोः श्वः वयं पुनः करिष्यामः. That's all for today. Thanks for watching this video online. If you have any queries or if you want to interact with teachers or students, log into forum.sanskrit.today and subscribe to this channel sanskrit.today to watch more videos like this. Share this video with your friends and interested people or group, and make use of the comment section below the video if you have any suggestions or feedback about this session or the series. Like this video, click on the like button on this video. Thank you. Thanks for watching this video online. Let us meet in the next session. Dhanyavadah.